Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to June the 18th. A happy belated Father's Day to all of the dads out there and dads to be. And I know that sometimes moms are pulling the dad shift. So to all you single moms who are also raising your kids on your own, keep up the good work. It's worth it. Be a phenomenal mom to your kids and to all you dads, thanks for all that you do. A special shout out to my father, who I think is just, it's always been my hero. He's an
Hmm.
amazing man. And one of the greatest things that he taught me was to love Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior. And I just want to give a huge shout out to you, Dr. Cordero, for all your great posts all the time. But of late, they've really just been ministering to my heart. And, I don't know if they're taken from like a New Living Translation, but it seems like that's kind of how they are, is that it's like God's principles and kind of like today's terms. So thank you very much and happy belated Father's Day to you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Barbara. It's always a pleasure. And one of the things that I committed myself to doing when I became a leader in this profession was that I wanted to give back. Even I was in my own practice, I wanted to give back. And so I think for the past 10 years, I've been doing these morning quotes. And so I'm very diligent in every single morning. So anybody that wants to be able to have access to these quotes, so just go to my Facebook page, look me up, Edwin Cordero. You'll be able to see me. And every morning I try to put something that's inspirational. I think that that's the only way that we can encourage ourselves and we can push ourselves to just become better. And lately, Barbara, I would say within the past 2 years or so, I mean, I've heard what you just said, countless times. You know what? You were talking to me. The message was directed to me. And so I know that God is using me as an instrument to be able to take this message and share with as many people as possible. And it's touching people's lives. And that makes me happy that I can be that conduit that God is using for that.
Amen. And I love that, your Christianity isn't, oh, I'll just be a silent Christian. I don't see anywhere in scripture that says that. And especially in today's market, in today's society where
Mhm.
we're all encouraged to, be your own person. And to those who are watching, who maybe have been hiding behind something that defines who you are, I encourage you to be authentic and share your message. If you're afraid people aren't going to like you because you're being yourself and sharing your message, I promise you that the most important person to like you has got to be yourself. So
Absolutely.
when
Absolutely.
we're true to ourselves, you'll find that your message just comes out, and those who are supposed to hear it will hear it. But if you don't speak it, for sure, no one will hear it. So let's talk about that. For those of you who joined us before and we had some tech issues, I was doing kind of an interpretation for Dr. Cordero, and he says his own words way better than I could. So we're going to do a bit of a repeat, but also launch into some other areas. So let's start with leadership. What does leadership mean? I want to start with there, and then I want to move to how Sherman College is developing leaders that will impact their communities, impact their region, and ultimately impact their world. So let's start with leadership. What does that mean to you? And what do you see are the top leadership qualities that we need to develop and cultivate?
Well, Dr. Barbara, I think all of us are leaders. We're just not aware that we're leaders because maybe we weren't taught certain steps or we weren't told that we were leaders. And I think that we all have that special quality to be able to lead. A leader is a person that stands for truth. It's a person that stands for a mission and then takes and motivates others to follow upon that mission and upon that vision. And so we all have that capability. And so one of the things is that until we're put in a situation of leadership is when we decide to either be afraid or we step up to the plate. And I think that 99.9% of the people will step up to the plate if given the opportunity. So I'll give you a prime example. Here I am practicing for 20 something years, maybe 23 years or so. And I get a call from Sherman College of Chiropractic Board of Trustees. And they're saying to me, we're looking for a new president. And your name came up. And the first thing that I thought is, why me? Why would somebody be calling me? I've not done anything special. I'm in the trenches as a chiropractic warrior. I'm taking care of my patients in my office, in my community. I'm a busy a principal chiropractor. Why would somebody look at me to become a leader in this profession? And a lot of people that have heard my story before, this would be a little redundant, but I wanted to share because I think it's important.
Yeah.
At that moment, I hung up the phone because it was kind of like a deer, the light in the deer, all of a sudden.
Deer in the headlight.
It was like, not me. It can't be me. So I hung up the phone. I thought it was a prank call. And so the board of trustees called again, and he said, no, this is not a prank call. We're looking for a future president. Several of us are responsible to call several people, and your name came up, and we want you. At that time, I was like, oh my God. And then guess what happened, Dr. Barbara? Fear set in. Because that's what happens. When you're called to do something bigger than yourself, the first thing that shows up is fear. And then most people go, oh, well, I'm not qualified. No, I can't do that. No, I have this. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a business owner. And the fear paralyzes us and takes away that opportunity for us to be able to become this leader. So, of course, that happened to me, and it happened to you when you stepped up to do the fabulous things that you're doing. And so I overcame the fear and I accepted the process. And all of a sudden, a year later, here I am as a leader of this profession. And so I think that all of us have the capacity. All of us have the desire and the will to be able to do it. Fear paralyzes us. And if we just step back and go, okay, if somebody called me, if somebody opened up an opportunity, if somebody opened up a door, that means that I'm going to walk through it. And my answer is going to be yes. And then you process it and go through it. And then you become this leader. And then you start setting up other leaders through your example. And you asked me about a couple of the qualities. I think that a great leader is somebody that's not afraid. I think that a great leader is somebody that's willing to accept responsibility for the good and for the bad. And I don't mean bad, but I mean some of the things that happen that are not exactly what maybe the leader thought was going to be the result. And that's okay to be wrong. We're humans. So we're going to make mistakes. And that's part of the leadership. Now, if you don't learn from that process, then shame on you. And so a good leader will make a mistake, learn from the process, go and acquire wisdom from other leaders that have done it, for a longer time, and then be able to regroup and say, okay, you know what? Now I got to go and regroup. And now I'm going to do it from this perspective instead of doing it the way that I thought. A leader is somebody that leads from the front. There's people that lead from the back. You do all the work. You guys get do all the heavy lifting, and then I'll take the accolades for it. And then there's leaders that lead from the front. Let me show you what our mission is. Let me show you what the vision is. Let me show you how we can become more effective as a partner or as a team or as an organization. And you roll up your sleeves and you get your hands dirty and you go in and you show your team that just because you're a leader, that doesn't give you this position that you're above everybody else. On the contrary. And that creates respect amongst your team. And people know that you're going to talk the talk, walk the walk, and do whatever is necessary to move the organization forward.
That's awesome. It makes me think of especially the end part of what you just said. In God's word, he says, fathers, do not exacerbate your children. Mm-hmm. And so, walk your talk, right? Like if you're telling your team, we got to show up at 7 a.m. and get ready to serve, and you show up at 7:15, don't be surprised when your team starts becoming frustrated, or in your own home. The first place to lead is ourselves. And,
Absolutely.
You bring up a really good point about fear, and really fear is a dream wrapped in ignorance. Right. And so leaders aren't people who don't have fears. It's just, we go, okay, I know what that is. It's fear. On. Right. And really, I wanted to get your opinion about this. I remember a year ago, well, it was a little more than a year ago, I went through like a huge change myself of recognizing how decisions we make can become habits, just like those neuronal synapses in subluxation, right? They become, this is the new track that our body runs, a sickness track. And our mindset can become the same. Like if you keep being approached with opportunities and you say no, you get invited, you say no, you get invited, you say no, that now becomes your new, mode of operation. That now changes really who you are versus you're the person who's like, yeah, I'm in. Now, please recognize Dr. Cordero and I are not saying that every invitation needs to be turned into an opportunity. Like you have to know which things to say yes to and which things to say no to, but don't say no just because you're afraid. grow into that opportunity so that you can lead, so that you can use your skills and talents. And because of that opportunity, now they grow. Just like, ooh, I don't know if I can lift a 20-pound dumbbell, but I lift it. Maybe I can only do it one time. But man, if I keep training,
Right.
I know before long it's going to be 10 reps and I'm going to be bumping to 25.
That's it. That's exactly right. And another thing, Dr. Barber, that I think that's kind of interesting. I think that every single individual has a certain level of discernment. And so some may have a bigger gift of discernment, some may have a little bit less, but I think that everybody does to a certain point have this opportunity to discern. If you're busy in your life, because you have to have priorities. For me, it's God, family, chiropractic. And so as a professional, I'm a chiropractor. But first I serve God, and then I serve my family, and I'm involved with my family and raising my kids and helping my beautiful wife, Debbie, with the things that we want to accomplish as a family. And then my profession is I'm a doctor of chiropractic, and now I'm the president of a chiropractic institution, in this case, Sherman College. And so there's invitations that are going to come in that you're going to go, wow, is this something that's challenging me to be a better father, a better wife, a better professional? Have a better relationship with God? Then you have to have that level of discernment to say, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot, and I'm going to see if this is something that's going to be that I'm going to be able to move forward with or not. But at least you have this level of discernment. I think that people just get comfortable, and when somebody gets comfortable, this is the issue. Why should I go and serve? So let me give you an example. So I have a very successful practice in West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm adjusting over 650 visits a week in my practice by myself with 2 chiropractic assistants and a manager. And so all of a sudden, I get this opportunity. If I would have thought like most people think, like, why? I'm comfortable. I have a great practice. I make great money. I'm serving my community. I speak all over the world with the principles of chiropractic and different platforms. Why should I cross and become uncomfortable to go into something that I've never done? I don't even know if I'm good at. I don't know what contribution I'm going to be able to impose upon this organization. And so if it was like the average person, I would have not taken the challenge. And guess what? I would have never been the 5th president of Sherman College, not done the things that we've been able to do as an organization to change the profession and to leave a legacy that one day people are going to go, you know what? I remember that guy, Dr. Cordero, and his team, and I remember all the amazing things that they did, not only for their institution, but for the profession. And so you miss out on an incredible opportunity if you don't discern whether this is the right thing for you or not.
I was, I teach 4-year-old girls in Sunday school. And yesterday I was using the example of David and Goliath. And, they're 4-year-olds. I'm tall as it is, but like me standing over a 4-year-old is definitely daunting. Right. And so of course we're talking about the story of David and Goliath. So maybe there are some Goliaths in your in your life. Like Dr. Cordero had Sherman College president. Like, whoa, that's a pretty big undertaking. And why would I leave this comfort zone? It's something I know, it's predictable. Like, I know I serve people, I make money, I make an impact. I've got everything all cozy right here. It's all in its nice little compartment. My wife and I are, like right? And then we have to say, okay, but God's presented this opportunity in front of me. And even though it may look like Goliath, David didn't beat Goliath on his own. I mean, clearly, right? I mean, he beat Goliath because he said, okay, God, I'm in. Like, this is going to have to be your show and you're going to use me. And I know I'm not very big, but I'm in. And you can probably go through times in your life too, whether it's Sherman College or being in practice, or maybe the first time you asked your wife out, or so many different opportunities where you just said, I'm going to jump. And then God made the landing. What advice do you have for, and I just want to say hi to Hope and Paula. Thanks so much, ladies, for joining us today. As you join us, if you pop in a little comment, then I can acknowledge you and thank you for being with us. Let's talk about those who are looking for, or let's first talk about those who maybe have been given an invitation recently and they're trying to discern, is this right for me? Like, should I do this? What advice do you have for them about discernment?
Well, for me, and I can only share what I've done in my life. And like I said, it may not be for everybody, but maybe some people may be very similar in the way that they process things. So for me, when an opportunity comes, the first thing is I become fearful. And so I'm afraid of that change and going out of the comfort zone, like you just explained a few minutes ago. The second thing is I get excited because I go, wow, this is an opportunity, could be an opportunity, could change not only my life, but the lives of people that then I'm going to be responsible for. And so then all of a sudden excitement starts to set in. And then the third thing is, well, is this from God or not? And so now I need to sit down and go, okay, the way that I know how to connect with God is being quiet and being able to fast and then go into prayer and then say, God, this is the opportunity. If it's from you, is there any way possible that you can just confirm it? Any way possible. Now, I don't mean that God's going to strike you with lightning or sometimes it's the subtle things. And so I'll give you a prime example. When this opportunity came for me to become the president of Sherman College, to be a candidate for the presidency of Sherman College, I was fearful. I was excited. I went into I fasted and I started to pray. And I didn't tell my wife that I was praying about this. And my wife, being a woman of faith as well, she started praying at the same time. And you know what? One day we're having breakfast and she comes up to me. She says, you know what, Ed? I was just praying about this situation and God gave me an answer. And this is something that we need to do. I didn't tell her because she started the conversation that I had just gotten confirmation as well the same day. And so that assured me that it was coming from God. And I said, you know what? I have to be faithful. That's the other thing. You're going to have to trust and you're going to have to be faithful. And so that confirmation coming from my wife and that confirmation coming from the word that I received gave me an opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to be bold and I'm going to go ahead and take a leap of faith and I'm going to move forward with this. So I think that those are the steps that we should. If you feel this angst in the pit of your stomach, if you feel something doesn't feel right, it feels negative, I think that might be something that you're going to either have to pray more about it and or say no to the opportunity. Now, let me tell you something that I learned, Barbara, a long time ago, and I'm sure you've experienced this as well. I used to have opportunities that presented themselves, and this is what happened. I would get I would be fearful. And then I would get excited. And my moment of excitement before checking with God, I started telling everybody, hey, Barbara, guess what? I got this opportunity. What do you think, Barbara? And I would go to everybody else instead of going right to the source. And so this is what happened. And this is my experience. By going to all those people in my inner circle, my friends, my family, most of them wanted to poke holes in my opportunity and in my dream. Maybe because of jealousy. Maybe because they didn't think it was the right thing. Maybe for whatever reason, I started getting people poking holes in my opportunity and possibly that dream that this opportunity was going to be able to give me. And so then I would say, oh, I spoke to 10 people and 8 of them told me not to do this. I'm not going to do that. And sometimes that might have been the opposite. And so therefore, don't tell people your dreams and your opportunities. Go right to the source. And you go into prayer and you go into fasting and you talk to your significant other and or spouse. Those are the people that really going to give you the true answer of what their opinion is because they know you better than anybody else. And so those are the things, at least that for me happen. So if somebody's going through this opportunity right now, go through that process, go through the fear, go through the excitement, go through the fasting and the prayer and talk to your significant other spouse. Or the person that you most trust and knows you the most, and then you take it from there. If it feels right, you say yes. If it feels wrong, continue to pray. And if it still continues to feel wrong, then you just say no.
Yeah, and I think also be honest. And I just want to say, hey, Dr. Tabor, he just joined us, and Dr. Brett. So good to see you guys. Thanks so much for joining us on this. Well, I guess it's Monday morning for me around the world. It's early Monday morning for me, but not so early for everyone else. I think just make sure that the feeling, so often I think that we use our gut for things. But recognize if you've been training your gut to live in fear, your gut's going to keep kicking everything back as fear, and you'll be this timid little person who doesn't advance, right? So it again, leaders aren't those who just don't have fear. It's that in spite of their fear, they're taking action. And you give a really great example of, go to the Lord first. Well, yeah, but I don't really have much of a relationship with them. That's the perfect reason to have a relationship,
That's
right?
right.
It's a perfect reason to have an ongoing relationship, not just in crisis, just like with our spouse, right? To always be growing together and exposing more of ourselves to one another so we know each other better, right? So that in those times where we need counsel, there's already a growth like this together instead of like, oh, I'm growing here and I'm looking for counsel of maybe somebody who is down here who doesn't really know me that well. Hey, Dr.
Right.
T. So building that relationship and building that really fortress in your life. I heard it explained by our pastor, like a brick wall, right? Like let's say a cinder block wall. If you're connected to the Lord and to your spouse and to people who are faithful prayer warriors and are able to discern what's best for you versus their own fears and stuff, you become a wall versus a cinder block. Like a cinder block is really easy to knock over just one block. I can just kick it over with very little force. But this whole wall, it's hard to penetrate that. And the importance of having good counsel around you, like, I think of Lot, right? He had terrible counsel. You know,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
his friends kept telling him, "Oh, like God's forgotten about you." Hello. There would be nothing further from the truth than that, right? So let me ask you this. How do we, or how throughout your life being exposed to so many people, whether in your practice or in leadership in your town, leadership in our profession, leadership in your church, what have been the signs for you of how to create that godly counsel or that wise counsel around you?
Well, I think it's just imperative, period, for you to have an inner circle of people that either you want to emulate or you want to be like, or people that you look up to. And it's not necessary. Sometimes it's not the person that you think. So for an example, I always go to my pastor. That's my go-to person. So I go to my pastor. But I also go to successful people in the profession that have been through the trenches, that have been through the battles, that have come out on the other side successful through the battles that they've been through because they've been in this profession 20, 30, 40 years. So I have an inner circle of people in my profession that if it has to do with something with chiropractic, I'm going to go to them. I still go to the Lord, obviously. I still go to my pastor, but I'm going to go to those people that I look up to. And so I think what happens is that people get so enamored with leaders sometimes, and they realize that sometimes the leaders talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And you got to be super careful, because just because I look good and I sound good on stage and I give a good message, is there congruency in my life? Because if I'm incongruent in my life, then I don't want you to follow me and I don't want you to be like me. And so I've seen a lot of leaders whether it's in church or whether it's in business or whether it's in our chiropractic profession. I've seen a lot of leaders that sound phenomenal, but they go through divorces and they go through abusing their children or relationships. They can't keep a relationship. Why would you want to follow a leader like that? There's incongruency, and all incongruency leads to death. It leads to destruction. And so we want to associate ourselves and affiliate ourselves with innately guided people, people that have more wisdom and more experience, but look at their lifestyle. So if you want to follow me, look at my Facebook page. Look at the photos of my family and my grandchildren. Look at the relationship that I have with my beautiful spouse, Debbie, for 25 years. Look at my friendships. I have, which I think this is amazing, I have about 5 friends that I went to elementary school, middle school, and high school, and college, and the military, that we're still friends till today. And we encourage ourselves and we push. There's people that can't even identify one person that they met when they were in kindergarten or elementary school, and then they're not even friends with them ever again. And so look at the person for the whole package. And if you see that person is congruent, if you see that person is disciplined, if you see that person, there's no division between their personal life, their professional life, or how they are with others, that's the leader that you want to follow.
I think like that is so like bam, 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 spot on. For me, something is too, is their stage presence their same as their face-to-face presence?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, do they seem warm and inviting? And I want to help people when they're on the stage. Are they that way off the stage? Like, do they make you feel like you're important? Like when they're talking to you, are they giving you their undivided attention, or are they kind of like always gazing, like who else's eye can I catch and who else can I talk to, as if you're not really there? Or are you their focus? And I say this as like a filter for us to look at, but also for us to know ourselves. And I think it's really easy as parents and spouses to be doing this instead of looking right in front of us too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we giving our spouse our undivided attention? Are we giving our children our undivided attention versus being distracted with all of this other stuff? And so, a leader also like impacts the masses, but leads right in front of them and is willing to be led. Right. So who are your mentors? And you bring up a really great point of not just the personal side, but what's back here. And a leader isn't someone without fault, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But do they I love the, and I honestly can't remember who I heard it from. So I apologize. I read and study so many people. I can't remember where this one came from, but it was that rejection is only experienced by those unwilling to take personal responsibility for the consequences of their actions. Absolutely. Right? So we won't, it doesn't mean you won't make mistakes. I got a whole list of them that I have made in my life. I mean, it's long, but by God's grace, a lot of those mistakes have led to great things. Or I've been able to use those mistakes and use them as ministry to others. Just like you would never be the leader of Sherman College if you hadn't made mistakes, right? Because that would mean that you never had grown.
Well, so Dr. Sid Williams always used to say, when somebody asked him, how are you doing? You would say near perfect. And so people would say, well, why not perfect? I feel like I'm perfect. I feel like my life is going well. And he would say, because when you're perfect, you rot. And so you're always near perfect. You're never perfect. So you're always striving to be perfect, but you're never going to achieve that. And so to me, for an example, you asked me who's my biggest mentor. I look back to a great leader is somebody that's authentic and transparent. It's somebody that cares. It's somebody that's willing to say, hey, here, this is what you need. You can have it. And it's okay. I'll find a way to get, another jacket, or if that be the case. And to me, I look back at my parents, my upbringing. I just been so blessed to have parents that were transparent, authentic, hard workers. They had great character. They talked the talk and they walked the walk. They served their community. They served at the church at the highest level that they could. And so for me, one of the things that I do, and this sounds silly, but I go home to Puerto Rico to ground myself and humble myself when I see that my head is starting to get bigger than what it should be. And so I go back home because I know that when I go back home, it's not President Cordero. It's not Dr. Edwin Cordero. Hey, you get your ass over here and make sure you help us with what's going on. And so I get grounded. And so when I see that my life is starting to get a little bit out of control, I book a flight to Puerto Rico. I go back and I meet with my friends and my family and my parents, and I humble myself and I go, you know what? God has given me a blessing, and this blessing is to be a leader and to be transparent and to go out there and lead others so they can become better. And I always say this, Barbara, whether I'm talking to you or anybody else, I speak to people and I let them know that my part as a leader is to create other leaders, because there is a mission. When I was in the Navy, I was taught, and the military teaches this, there's a mission, and that mission needs to be accomplished. And if I'm the leader, or you're the leader, Barbara, and something happens to the point that you get killed in service, then the mission stops. We can't do that. So we have to create other leaders that if something happens to me, Barbara's the next person in line, Neil is the next person in line, Peter's the next person in line, and the mission can continue to fruition. And that way we can continue to become successful. We have leaders in chiropractic offices, solo practitioners, that don't bring in associates because they're petrified that they may learn more and then therefore take their teachings or take what their clients or the practice members, you can't be in fear. You have a gift. You're used as an instrument. You have to lead, and you have to teach others how to lead. I ground myself by going back to what makes me humble, and that's what I do. And then I have close friends that are not in the chiropractic business alone, and I speak to them. We meet, we fly and meet someplace, and we just get a chance to just be able for me to remove the husk and get down to the core of who I am as an individual, as a person, as a father, as a believer, and then be able to say, you know what, I'm doing the right things and I'm going to continue, or I'm not doing those right things and I need to work on those things.
Here's my husband.
Hey.
He's the bomb.
That's it, I'm sure.
So I want to say hi to Dr. Jeff. Thanks so much for joining us. Dr. Michelle, all the way in California. Dr. Chelsea, welcome, welcome. It's so great to have you all. And I, as always, agree with each and everything that you're saying, Dr. Cordero. You know, I'm so thankful for my parents as well, who sound like yours, that it was never go out and rake the lawn if they hadn't already showed us how. If they told us take your shoes off in the house, they showed us. Like, that was the rule, but they were doing it too, that congruency, right? So yes. We can either be incongruent or we can be congruent. And you know, something that always comes up in my mind in training people around us, like you're talking about, like throwing leadership forward, is train those around you and lift them up so much that you become irrelevant. Mm-hmm. Right? That everybody else has been trained up so strong and they can do what you're doing, that it leaves this vacuum that others step into, and then you go to the next spot. But That's if right. You're only the one who can hold that spot, then really and truly you're kind of irrelevant, because you need to advance. It's just like, you know, when a doctor grows in their practice to such a degree that they're going to bring on a staff member, right? Then you have to make sure you stop doing these activities, that you only do these. Or when you bring on an associate, now they do these and you do up here, but don't come back and do these, because they're growing in this development, just like raising our kids. Like, my husband and I raised our kids to be incredibly independent. You know, we've always been there for them, just like you have with your kids. We've always been there, but I don't want them always depending on us. And the proof is in the pudding, that they're all on their own, doing their own thing.
But this is the problem, Dr. Barbara. We teach them to become independent, but then when they make the steps to become independent, we want to protect them. And so what you're saying makes tremendous amount of truth. If we're going to teach our students or our practice members or our kids or our family members or other leaders to become independent, become authentic and transparent, and to be able to give them more responsibilities, when they make mistakes, we don't jump down their throats. We encourage them. We show them where the mistakes were. We tell them what the options are to do it better the next time. And then we allow them to go through that experience. If we don't do that, we're micromanaging.
Well, and we're taking away the blessing of growth.
Absolutely.
Right? Like,
absolutely.
I mean, and life doesn't have to be hard for you to grow. Like, I want to make sure I get that out there. And I know Dr. Cordero is on the same page. I think some people always look for friction. Like, if it's not tough, then it's not right. That's not true. Right. But please be willing to grow and allow those around you to grow as well. It's not always easy and it's not always fun, but the rewards are worth it. And your kids, when they make mistakes, like Dr. Cordero is saying, like, be there to support them, like almost be that lens of, okay, so when it happens again, how can you maybe maneuver differently? Yes. And the quality of our answers in life are dependent on the quality of the questions we're asking ourselves. Like at Sushi, I'm talking about one of the things that I think trips us up a lot of times is we ask ourselves, why? Why am I not motivated? Why this? Why that? Well, you know what? Take action. Like, jump in. And maybe instead of asking why, ask, all right, how can I do this better? How could I have said that differently? How could I have shown up better? And give yourself, your mind, an action step versus just continuing to analyze. Because many times, like we're talking about at the very beginning of Dr. Cordero was asked, hey, do you want to be the president of Sherman College? well, why me? Why me? Why me? That's not what he did. He just like went, okay, like, how can I make this happen? Like, Lord, should I do this? And he asked his wife,
Yes.
what do you think? And all of that. He didn't just contemplate why. He took action. And that's
Mm.
so imperative in our lives.
Well,
So
and
as we go ahead.
no, I was going to say, and so let me add to what you were saying. So now
Yeah.
now I get selected as the president of Sherman College out of 20 candidates, right? And so I get selected. Now the rubber meets the road because now my fear sets in because now I got the position. I don't know anything about academia. I don't know anything about running a $20 million budget. I don't know how to handle faculty that are going to look down on me and go, who's this guy? Just because he's been successful in practice doesn't mean that he's the guy that can run this institution. And so all of a sudden that fear never leaves you. And it's, you have to, there's a saying that says, you have to learn how to love the whip. And so the whip is all those things that you don't think that you can do and that somebody's going to question you upon it. And so you have to learn how to love the whip. So what I did was I didn't know how to do academia. So I went to the VP of academics and I said, what is the process? Can you teach me the process? I didn't know about budgeting. So I went to the CFO and I said, listen, I need your skills. Please tell me what is it that you do and how I can learn. And so what you do is you become proactive in learning the process because not everybody knows everything in your office, in an organization, in a position of leadership. So you do have certain skills, and this is what leaders do. Those people, those leaders that have certain skills that they own, they want to enhance those because they don't want to show the weakness on the skills that they don't have. And so to be a good leader, you don't depend on your strong skills. You go to the weaknesses and you make them stronger. And now there's no excuses. So it took me 5 years in learning. It took me 5 years of humbling myself. It took me 5 years of reading. It took me 5 years of doing things that were so uncomfortable that it made me a better leader. But I never gave up. What I did was I was consistently humbled. I was consistently authentic. I was consistently transparent. If I had an answer, I would tell them. If I didn't, I would say, I don't know. Let me find out. That didn't make me less of a leader. And so people started respecting me, and all of a sudden the growth process and all the positive things that have happened in this organization. And I grew as an individual as well.
Absolutely. And let's talk about like the growth of Sherman College. Dr. Cordero invited me to Lyceum this year, and I said, absolutely, and jumped on an airplane. And if you've never been, please, please, please make sure you put it on your schedule for next year. It's an event unlike anything I've ever been to in our profession. The Sherman family really just like embraces you, and it's not a, like a competitive thing. I feel like everyone just like locks arms for the good of the profession and for advancing forward together. It's an amazing undertaking what they've done at Sherman College in order to start a construction project and have it end in December, and embracing the students to the degree that they do. And I love the obsessed with student success, which is their motto at Sherman. And you can feel it. You can feel that it's about the students, because as we raise up great chiropractors, our profession changes. So if it's okay, can we start with obsessed with student success, what that looks like and how that has now been the catalyst to make these gigantic physical changes at Sherman College?
Sure. And what I'll do is I'll preface it with this. We as leaders, or we as individuals, or husbands, or fathers, or mothers, or significant others, we cannot convince people of anything. And so there's going to be people that no matter what you say, they're going to love you. And there's going to be people that just, they don't believe it. They're going to hate you no matter what you say, what you do, period. So let's start off with that. So I take over Sherman College, and I realize that there's a lot of things that we need to improve upon. And we realize that we didn't have the answers. I didn't have the answers. My team didn't have the answers. We thought we did. So we hired a consultant. The consultant comes in, looks at everything, and the consultant falls in love with the faculty, falls in love with the students, falls in love with the executive team. And he comes up and he says, Dr. Cordero, I got to tell you something. I don't know what you have here, but this is freaking amazing. And now this is a consultant that deals with Fortune 500 companies all over the world. He says, there's just something special about this. We need to foster this special thing. And he says, I think what it is that everybody is a big family. Everybody wants to support through each other through Sherman College. But we have to identify that the faculty and the staff and the administration and the executive team and the president really do care about the success of the students. And so this Obsessed with Student Success began from a concept, talking to the consultant, talking to the executives. We realized that we do that anyhow, we just didn't identify it. And so we started to identify the fact that we launched the program. And the program is Obsessed with Student Success. And what that means is this. It's not that I'm going to kiss your rear end because I want you to fakely think that, you know, if I yes you to death, that you're going to love Sherman College and your journey through Sherman College. No, it's that authentically, if you have a challenge, I want to be able to answer and help you. If I know, if I don't know, I want to give you to the next person that can definitely help you through this process. And so we started this training with this consultant. We started with the board of trustees. We went to the president, the executive team. We went to the directors. We went down to the faculty and to the staff. And so now everybody from the janitor that works here all the way through the president, we have been trained to believe and to be able to help the journey and the process of the students by being obsessed with student success. So if a student comes in and says, I don't know where to find this office, instead of just pointing to them, grab them by the hands and take them there. And so we started with this, and it's been amazing because the people that really, truly care want to do that, and they want to do it to a point that they know that they're contributing into the life of a future professional that's going to go out there and change the world with the gift of chiropractic.
Awesome. So the culture, right? Mm-hmm. So Russell Brunson talks about how do you create a mass movement, right? You have to have, there's a triangle. There's a charismatic leader. There's the culture, which is your cause. Mm-hmm. And then over here, there's the new opportunity. And so the new opportunity is, in my opinion, like entrepreneurialism smashes with chiropractic philosophy to be incredibly successful. Yes. You know, that another thing I'm talking about is sushi is just like false beliefs we have about success principles and in the nonsense that there are some organizations in our profession that try to put forth that no one wants you to talk about chiropractic philosophy, or, you know, the public doesn't want to hear subluxation or all of the other nonsense. And Sherman College is there saying, yeah, this is our message, right? Yeah. This is our message that chiropractic is what your body is missing. Like this is the pathway to better living. And Sherman College then is teaching students how to bring those two worlds together in order to be successful. And yes, make no mistake about it, anyone who's listening, you will have a much greater impact on this world being successful than unsuccessful. Absolutely. You will have a far greater impact on this world being successful, changing lives, and as a result, earning a hefty income than you will in the opposite direction. Like there are so many, like I always say to boot campers, if you make too much money, let me know. I know lots of charities, lots of schools, lots of things where you can, you know, invest that money and throw it forward. Absolutely. So as we close, what final words do you want to leave individuals with today on this beautiful Monday morning?
Well, first of all, Barbara, it's just a pleasure to be able to have a conversation with you and to really just kind of remove the husk and go down to the core and be able to share our love and our passion for this profession. And that we want people to become better parts of themselves. We want them to be better. We want them to be better husbands and better spouses and better parents and better professionals and care about the legacy of what we've been blessed with. We have been blessed with this profession. And so therefore, if I'm successful, I want to be able to elevate somebody else and then play it forward and play it forward. And so they can play it forward. And so what happens is that I know that I've done everything that I can not expecting anything in return. I do it because I've been blessed by God to be able to be this individual, to be this person, to be this chiropractor, to be this CEO, to be this president of a college, that I want the legacy to live in others, and then the profession to be able to exist and continue to exist for eons and eons and eons. But I think that what's hurting our profession today is ego. It's lack of self-esteem. It's understanding the principles that this profession was built upon. It's about the lack of communication skills that our students and our doctors have, and then be able to say, you know what? I have priorities. In my case, God, family, chiropractic, and I have to be able to create a balance, because trust me, as a leader, you get pulled in 1,000 different directions. But you know what? If I understand my priorities and I create balance in my life, then I'm able to be a great leader, a great husband, great father, great grandfather. And so to me, that's just as important. And so I would just kind of like to leave a final message that you can be as successful as you choose to be. It takes work. You can be a leader in this profession. You have to be able to humble yourself. You have to be able to surround yourself with the right key people. You need to have some amazing mentors, and you need to look up to certain leaders that are being congruent with the way that they live their life in totality. And also, you constantly are in the learning process. Leaders are readers. I read about 12 to 15 books a year, and I feel that that's not even enough. You know, most people don't even read one book a year. And so you constantly have to be able to get yourself dipped into the philosophy, into the science, into the art, into communication, making sure that you have time to be quiet, that you have some meditation time, that you have some Bible time, some quiet time with the Lord. And all these things just make you a better you, which then reflects as a better leader. And then you make a difference in this amazing profession by being the person that God has created you to be.
Amen, amen, amen. And I just want to say on behalf of Dr. Cordero and I, we're here for you. Yeah. If we've said something today and you're like, hey, you know what? I'd really like to be in more of a leadership role in this profession, reach out to us. Like, let us get to know you and let us find out how we can help you develop your skills. And where do you feel called to lead? And in what kind of area? What are you passionate about? If you have a specific message that you would like others to hear and you want to touch their life and you would like to join me on a Facebook Live, please send me a message. I love interviewing individuals and sharing you with my audience and with the world. As well, if you haven't been to Lyceum or if you haven't been to a Sherman event, I know that they have lots of stuff going on. I'll make sure that Myra or Roberta pop in the comment section a link to, you guys have in October is the next big event, right?
Yes, we have our IRAPS. Sure, it's our IRAPS, it's our International Research and Philosophy Symposium. This is a huge event because people come from all over the world to present research papers of what's happening in our profession. And the top leaders of our profession attend the IRAPS, and that's coming in October. And it's real simple. Just go to www.sherman.edu, and then you can put /IRAPS /Lyceum /Showcase Sherman events. So whatever information you want, it's a simple way. If somebody feels uncomfortable and they don't want to send a message on Facebook, I'm on Facebook and I'm available. Edwin Cordero, you can look me up. Also, you can send me a personal email, and my personal email is ecordero@sherman.edu. ecordero@sherman.edu. I'm here just like yourself, Dr. Barbara, to make a difference and be able to share the wisdom and be that anchor for other people to be able to come and anchor to, so we can make a difference in this profession.
Absolutely. And I would love to hear from you as well. Love to know that you're going to Lyceum next year. If you're going to Cairo Sushi and we've never met face to face, I want to meet you. And I'll try my best to get around and say hi to everybody, but please take it upon yourself as well to come up and say hi. I think Sherman's showing up at sushi, right?
I'm going to be there. Myself and Dr. Cohen are going to be speaking. And of course, a part of our Sherman team is going to be there as well. And so if anybody just wants to come up and say, hey, I just want to come and introduce myself and, whatever, we're there, we're available. We want to be able to spend some time together. And so definitely we will be there. I saw that you put down that my email. It's eCordero1. It's not E dot. It's just eCordero at sherman.edu. And that way you can communicate with me. But Barbara, I'm always blessed and honored to be able to share with you and your audience and everybody that's listening to us. And like I said, I'm just blessed beyond my wildest imaginations. This is just an incredible journey that we're humbled and blessed to be part of, and it's just awesome. So I'm looking forward to seeing you this week at Sushi. And to everybody that's listening, thank you for your time. I really love and appreciate every single one of you, and thank you for what you do, not only for your communities but for the profession at large.
Absolutely. We'll see you all. God bless you. Have a terrific day. Come see us at Sushi. We'd love to get to know you. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.